Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, 2022. This film felt like a very complicated mashup when I first saw it in Covent Garden, Odeon, on the 17th of May, 2022. It's a lot of things thrown together, but indeed, that is what the title says. It's about multiverses. And I suppose at that point, I didn't really understand what a multiverse was. I suppose thinking about it, it's parallel universes, but an indefinite number of them, or is it indefinite or infinite? And I've just checked that. There's no clear end in indefinite versus limitless, but not the Odeon card variety, unlimited, not the Cineworld card variety, but meaning no end at all. So it could be either, couldn't it? Because it's we've got single universes that we know and love that we're in now, and sometimes something happens in our lives that we wish we could change. Things happen in the political world, and we think, "Oh my gosh, this is what we've got to face." Um, Things happen in our own lives. You miss a train. The Sliding Doors. That's a really good example. 1998, Sliding Doors, the film with starring Gwyneth Paltrow. Um, she misses a train. The protagonist, or she actually just manages to get on board before the door shuts. She holds the doors, gets on, someone holds the door for her. Can't remember how that bit goes, but anyway, two different stories develop from that, and you get to see it. And apparently, way back 1934, there was Sideways in Time, a short story by Murray Leinster, and that was a kind of parallel universe scenario. Two different two different ways that things can go. So there's always been these what if type stories. Um, and I'm not really sure I get the concept a bit better because I've seen a few now, quite a few, I guess, because there's a lot of superhero films that dive into the subject. The Spider Verse, there's a whole franchise developing on that. I've certainly seen films since this Everything Everywhere All at Once. And at the time, I thought this was the film to end parallel universes simply because it was taking it so far. But this film stars Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn Kwang Wang. She's lived in the USA for 20 years or so. She came from China and she runs a laundrette. And on this particular day, she's working in the tax office. She's been audited, so that's not fun. There's a huge, massive receipts. And in a way, that's an allegory to the messiness of life and all these parallel universes. There's Jamie Lee Curtis, very stern mode. She's a tax officer and she's interrogating Evelyn. And she says it does not look good. And really, yes, if you are running a business, you really need to be organized. Gosh, I mean, I've had many years, but just PAYE, tax at source, every pay slip, the tax has already come out. But once you're involved in, I remember when I first started this YouTube channel, and I thought I had a chance of being monetized. And I mentioned it one point to someone in HR who said, "Oh, if you get money, you better really be watch how things go because you could end up owing more than you make." And it's just like, gosh, really? I mean, that's the thing. In a sense, I felt fortunate that my viewing figures were low because I've not faced that, and it would have been so complicated. And I suppose now I understand things better, but I'm realizing I'm going on a tangent here because uh, that's tax returns. Um, and there's a sort of it's a bit of a reluctance about side hustles, even though I really like the idea. And now, given what's happened with my job, not a side hustle. Um, but um, that's the thing. This is the. I mean, one thing about the whole business of tax returns. I remember a time I'd meet a friend every week, twice a week, at the Wimpy down in Southwark, Southwark Park Road, and I've been to other Wimpys. There was one in Islington, in Angel, Islington Green. Loved it, and similar thing. All the receipts would go on a little spindle on a stick. I think that's what lots of businesses, small businesses, franchises do. You put your receipt. The reason I thought about that Wimpy though was because there's another film, but I will have to review it. It's called Eastern Promises. It was actually filmed there, and it's such a cool film. I really want to see that again and review it. So I keep getting ideas for films that I need to talk about on here and build up. But um, there's this thing about yeah, I was just imagining all the orders in a business. You see them building up. I mean, uh, you buy your food, your veggie burgers. In my case, spicy bean burger, Sproggles, sort of croquet potatoes, all that sort of thing. Milkshake, vanilla milkshake, loved it. Maybe even chocolate milkshake. And that was a great way to finish a Friday after work. Um, but the cost of everything, the orders, the cost, the payments, every place, every cafe I've been to, um, every table that's busy, on a weekend evening or any day of the week, and you multiply it every week by 52, and you think all those receipts. No wonder it's like what you see with Evelyn's table worth of receipts and someone going through it with a fine tooth comb when you have to present everything neatly, all accounted for. And if things are missing, and if it looks like you've messed up and you've missed things, it would be a really scary prospect. So I could feel for her strongly. But that's only one element of this story because suddenly um, Evelyn's husband comes in, Waymond, played by Kei Hui Young, and he catapults her or pulls her across the room. This strange scenes where things suddenly wobble and go into a different place. I mean, I suppose I'm thinking a bit again of the butterfly effect, but that's more time travel. But there's similarities there as well. Um, but um, Wayman's serving divorce papers, so there's another layer of problems. But there's Joy, who is Evelyn's daughter, played by Stephanie Hussein, and she's a nihilist and she's depressed, and she's there with her girlfriend Becky, who Evelyn has a reluctance to accept. I mean, there's that LGBTQIA plus element, but there's also a strong threat from the nihilism, the depression, the self destruct. things. So there's all this going on. There's the technology, which Evelyn seems to be behind, that you can actually switch to another universe, and this is necessary. But in this story, she's switching again, all over the place. So much is happening. And this is where I found it tough to watch because there's um, so much happening. I saw the film again with a friend and I understood it better, but my friend was discombobulated the same as I was first time. And I explained that it gets better if you watch it all over again, but she had no interest for doing that because, I mean, this fast-paced, you have to juggle everything in your mind and blink and you can miss something if you get distracted. You really need to be attentive and to map everything in your mind. And our memories are all structured in different ways. And I guess it's a testament to neurodivergent capabilities and holistic capabilities because different people um, may be much better at remembering this. I talked to one friend who absolutely loved this film and wanted me to review it very early on. And I thought, how, where am I going to start with all this? Um, there's quite a, a few other films that I'm brought I bring get brought into my mind when I think about it. Um, and I said, there's sort of time travel type films where you can change things. I mean, that in a way is a very similar concept because if you can change things by going back in time, that is like another universe. It's more that this is a more immediate vehicle in that you can jump between universes rather than, say, in Butterfly Effect, where there was a sort of device like videotapes or diaries or taking things that will make your mind go back to try and make a better version of the world. And this um, this Alpha universe, that's it. E- Evelyn, Alpha every character, and I don't know. It was I probably would understand it better watching it on streaming, but I'd probably need 4 hours because I would be pausing. I'd be like, gonna note this down just to get everything out properly. And how much do I have the mental energy to really understand it? Because it's one story and I see hundreds of stories. Um, and I can get invested, but as I say with superhero films, um, I've when I had colleagues at work, many of them would, when we had quizzes during COVID, they would like um, show how well they knew these particular universes. No, I didn't, and I didn't follow a lot of them. I might know the actors. I mean, I've seen plenty of films, but having the ability to remember everything about something, you really have to have the interest to follow it. And my interest doesn't focus on that sort of thing. So really, I think to know whether you'd like this sort of film, it is worth at least watching the trailer. It gives you some idea of what kind of film it is. I mean, it goes up to planetary scale, it goes back into prehistory. It does a lot of things, and that's where it does feel all encompassing, and that's where the title is totally justified. But because it depends on your mind and whether it's linear tracking, whether it's literal, whether it's lateral, um, some neurodivergence probably does help, but there's many different people. There's dyscalculia, there's um, dyspraxia, there's dyslexia. I mean, they're in a sense different forms of ways the human mind is wired. And I'm supposed to be good at patterns, so I got that impression from when I got assessed. So I can spot things. And I love words and I love associations and will pick up on things. So it's a kind of language skill, though it's largely based in English. It isn't doesn't is hasn't been trained very well in learning other languages. As unfortunate as that is, because it would have been great to have learned Finnish and even Welsh better, even French and Spanish and many other European languages, maybe Chinese. And in another parallel universe, maybe I could have done that, but I haven't. And there's a lot of skills that I never did develop. And if I could go back to my teens, there's so much I would have changed. There's other things I've discussed at times. Things that I would change if I could go back to being 15 or 17 or 16, something like that. That would be great. Or ideally, the start of my puberty. That would be a really good time. But parallel universes, as far as we know, we can't access them. And there might be other dimensions where our loved ones exist. Who knows? I've got an open mind about everything. I just haven't got the capacity to think about everything. And I don't mind the thought experiments, but it's limited what my mind will do. I mean, there's some scenes in this. There was like sausage fingers, sort of Frankfurter style, very wobbly fingers, not like the kind of um, um, rigid, strong-boned fingers, relatively strong-boned fingers that we actually have. But how difficult life would be with that, and it stretches into implausible, I think, in many ways. So, I can capture stories fairly well, but when they're so incredibly complex and multifaceted, I find that really hard. And I didn't think there was adequate signposting to reveal going from one place to the other. I probably didn't pick up on all the visual clues. Someone else might be. Some people are more attentive. And I remember from watching the Krypton Factor when that existed on Channel 4 way back. If it's Channel 4, it was one of those game shows where it involved a lot of mind matters, remembering stuff and noting things from films. And I would, after that, it actually trained me to spot things when I'd look all over the screen during the film and pick up registrations. And it wouldn't actually matter because a car registration, no one's going to ask me afterwards what was the registration in that film at that point. But could remember it, or I'd spot something about it. I mean, there's one film where I spotted registrations that was set in the 2030s, like 2037, say, I think. Um, and I wonder why. It's a film. Oh, no, I won't go. Diversions, eh? I got a lot of them in my head because I'm talking about a film like this. I mean, there's a lot of technical achievements, so much packed into this film. There's all this stuff that's been done, and it's 139 minutes, 2 hours 19, and that is a very long film to be so concentrated on everything. So I'm going to score this 7.5 out of 10. And that might be disappointingly low, some of you might think. I don't know. I It's not a bad score. I mentioned it when I was reviewing 2022 films at the time, but didn't go into a great deal of detail. Now, this is much more. Um, I think I would get more of it if I saw it a third time, but on 2 watches and seeing the trailer again, thinking about it for 3 years, more than 3 years now, it's quite a lot, and I love they exist, so I think it had so much effort was put into making it. Um, it is impressive. I'd really like to know what you think as well. So please leave your comments. Please like if you like this review. Thanks if you subscribe. Please hit the notification button, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.